Hey there, how's it going? Ryan Falkner here, Set the Pace Triathlon. We're having our weekly call. It should be a little bit more weekly. Just got done with Ironman Chattanooga last weekend, so that was kind of a busy week last week. So didn't have the opportunity to set up a call. Hopefully everybody can forgive me. But we're back on track this week. Should be pretty consistent heading on down the road. So this week we're going to be kind of going over nutrition still for the Des Moines 70.3. Talking a little bit, especially the off season. Now it's time to get dialed in and get working on the proper nutrition for last time we went over kind of your daily nutrition, what you need to be looking at to kind of set you up for success for your training and your racing. It really is a lifestyle change. It's not necessarily a diet. It's something that hopefully you can find a sweet spot to maintain over the long term, especially if you want to make endurance competitions part of your lifestyle. So just trying to make it as easy as possible for you, kind of from my experiences for the past 15 years of racing and coaching, and with myself being the guinea pig, and then using what works with my athletes. So we found pretty good success. So this week we're going to jump into nutrition for your training and racing. So as I mentioned before, we'll kind of hit the highlights. We're going to go over my influences that I kind of align myself with these days as far as my nutrition goes. We always kind of slice it up, nutrition versus fuel. So nutrition is kind of everything else throughout the day, and then fuel is what you're doing for your workouts and training and that type of thing, and then races. So I also want to point out I am a Ironman University certified coach, USAT level 1 triathlon coach. I am not a licensed nutritionist or dietitian or anything like that. So I can give you advice, but I can't work you up an individualized plan at the time currently. So that might be something I've been changing, kind of going down the road to be able to do more in-depth consulting on nutrition and that type of thing in the future. But for now, let's just make sure that we're all aware that I can't give you dive in really, really deep for your personal nutrition. I can kind of speak globally, kind of an assumption of multiple athletes, because we do have many people in this group. And like I said before, if you got any questions, I keep checking the little chat window. Shoot up any questions you got. Or if you get the replay, if you weren't able to join in live, do hit me back with if certain times work better. I want to make sure that we get as many people in as possible. If you have any questions, things you would like me to go over in the future, please always reply back to the emails and let me know. But my influences, Matt Dixon and his Purple Patch Fitness, his podcast, I really find myself aligning kind of with what he talks about in Kayla channel, Nutrition Revolution. She's one of the nutritionists that Matt Dixon has had on his show a couple of times, and I find myself aligning closely with her and their takes on nutrition and performance in races and just kind of everyday nutrition. So again, let's hit on the highlights. So we're all clear on our definitions of while I'm talking about nutrition and fuel. So it's all about food, but timing is everything. So fuel is what you do immediately before, during, and immediately after training. So fuel is specifically talking about what you're doing for workouts, training, and racing. Nutrition is everything throughout the rest of the day. It all ties in together, but I kind of dice it up into just nutrition, what you're eating during the day, and the fuel during the race. So it can overlap, and sometimes it's the same thing. It just kind of depends on how you structure your day. So like I said last time, if you want to watch the replay, talked about kind of your everyday nutrition. But today we're going to talk about your training and your racing fuel. So what you're actually specifically doing to get the most out of your workouts and your races as far as nutrition and fueling goes. So the key here is, I want to back up. Nutrition every day will play a huge factor in how your workouts go. So if you do your workouts either over lunch or later in the day, if you don't eat a good breakfast, if you don't eat good lunches, good snacks in between, and then you go right after work and try to hit a monster workout, doing some high intensity running sets or biking or something like that, you're not going to be as successful as hitting your heart rate goals, your pace goals, whatever you're looking for, if you're not properly eating the entire day leading up to it. So don't discount everyday nutrition, because you cannot really make up with it for pre-workout and post-workout meals. If you go into it and you're depleted and you're sluggish, no matter, you can eat too much and it's going to cause other kinds of problems during your workouts, but you cannot eat enough, and don't be thinking about, oh, the pre-workout that's like spikes your adrenaline or caffeine or something like that. It's temporary, and it's not increasing the baseline fitness. It's just kind of masking the fact that you're not properly eating throughout the day. So timing is crucial for your training, and this kind of goes into racing. We'll talk about racing a little bit more specifically, but for training, your fuel is critical. So you got to get your pre-workout meal in. Typically, what I advise, especially my windows with the full-time day job, is you've got your morning workouts, you've got your lunch workouts, and you got your after work workouts. So those are usually your 3 windows, and then you got your weekends. But usually during the week, and we'll talk a little bit about this, I think, later on. I want to make sure that I'm not jumping ahead. So yeah, so we'll get to a little bit more of dicing up what types of workouts and what you need to take in before or after. So you got your pre-workout, what you're doing right before. Sometimes you don't need anything. During your workout, if you're going to have a longer workout, sometimes you need a little bit of something as far as fuel goes. We're more specifically talking about solids, not necessarily hydration. Even short workouts, some water or sports drink or something like that. It's always good and beneficial. It just kind of depends on what you're doing. Timing is crucial during the race. So reduce calorie intake on the run and work, easily digestible carbs into the race. Now's not the time for Big Macs. Needs nut butter or seeds, choose blocks or gels. So that's kind of going to the point of during a race, how much you're taking in is going to change and fluctuate, especially on the bike. Usually at the very beginning, your gut's going to be working fine. You're not going to be maybe sweating. You're not going to work your other systems as much. Your legs and your big muscles aren't pulling as much of the blood flow away from the stomach to keep bodily functions going while you're exercising. So early in the bike is the time to get your fuel in, your solids and that type of thing, so your stomach can work on it and digest it. But as you move through a race, especially Ironman Chattanooga, where the temperatures kept increasing all day, slowly, there's no way to recover, especially in the dehydration conditions. There's no way to recover that hydration to be able to get your gut to function properly and take in the proper nutrition. You can slow down, you can hit aid stations, you can, cover yourself, you can try to lower your body temperature to get your gut to kind of fire back up. But as you go throughout the day, your gut is going to be able to process less and less. So if you keep sticking stuff in there, it's either going to be bloated, sloshing around, or you're going to be visiting a porta potty or trash can, or just the side of the road, as I saw a lot of in Ironman Chattanooga. So be mindful of the flow of fuel during the race. Should be pretty heavy up front, and then you're kind of tapering off and towards a run. It just depends. Some people can handle solids, and it's not a problem. The majority of people out there, especially if it's hot and you're sweating a lot, you're not going to be able to handle the solids. So you just got to be mindful. And training is the time to test this stuff out. So if you got a long brick workout, you got a long ride and then a run afterwards, now's the time to try that stuff out. Try your goos and your gels, and if you're going to live on the course, what they've got on the course, base bars, whatever. And find out if it works for you. If it doesn't, you need to find something that does work for you. So personally, I kind of reverted to peanut butter M&Ms and Reese's Pieces. That's why I took it in T2. And it sat well. It tasted good. It is something I craved. Unfortunately, when I got the special needs, I was so hot and dehydrated, and body functions were kind of shutting down. I couldn't really. All I could do was fluids. I did revert to Coke and Red Bull at the second half of the run to kind of give me enough energy to get through. Red Bull gives you wings. Totally unsolicited advertisement for Red Bull, but it did help me. It got that sugar into the bloodstream. It got me that last little bit to get across the finish line. At that point, I just wasn't able to get. I knew if I took solids any point during the second half of the run, it would spell an issue needing to go to a porta potty or a trash can or something, because it just was not going to stay down. My stomach was not having it. But I was also feeling lightheaded, a little dizzy from dehydration and probably from lack of nutrition. But luckily, Red Bull gave me an option. And I've had it in the past. I've used it in workouts, and I knew I'd be kind of okay with it. So it's something I could kind of switch to. So that's what you need to figure out in training is if you cannot handle solids in a long workout, especially, if you go on a 100-mile bike ride, try to hit race day conditions. If it's going to be hot, hit it on hot days if you can. Don't be afraid of hot, wind, and whatever. Take your food with you and figure out what works in training. Because if you're trying to figure it out on race day, it's going to be a disaster. I saw plenty of that in Chattanooga. Post-workout's important too. because especially if you're doing a high intensity, even if it's like a 45-minute workout, but you're running different intervals, high intensities, you're doing a bike workout, you're doing some strength work, low cadence, high gearing, you're going to need to repair the damage you've done to your muscles. So that is the time to get in a post-workout meal. That golden window is 45 to 60 minutes after, you work out. Get something in your stomach to digest, to feed the muscles, to aid in recovery and repair, because you've done damage to the muscles. So generally what they recommend is protein plus carbs. The carbs help get the protein to the muscles. I always like whole foods. I'm not a huge fan of, the sports nutrition, the Clif bars, the base bars or whatever. Supposedly they're scientifically engineered, but they also have a lot of marketing behind them that makes you think you need them. But, a chicken sandwich, some egg whites, scrambled up, maybe throw in a little bit of bacon or a little bit of red meat or something like that, or just tuna fish sandwich, something. And like I said, I try to get as much real food as possible and very little out of the box stuff, especially after workouts. I do the protein shakes every once in a while, so I kind of revert to that. But at least I know what I'm putting in there, the protein powder, and then I use almond milk and some other things, and crush it with ice just to kind of make kind of a smoothie thing out of it. But minimal fat. So now's not the time to stuff in, some nut butter or, unfortunately peanut butter is my weakness, but it's not digestible. You can't get it to your muscles fast enough to do any help. But there's also research that points to antioxidants. So there's a big push for that. It's like, oh, I have, beet juice or whatever, or blueberries or strawberries right after you work out and help flush out all that acid, all that junk build up in your muscles. But it's okay, but it slows adaptations of your workouts in your muscles. So it's better for 2 hours after the workout. So you let your muscles kind of absorb what you just did to them, give them protein to help recovery. But antioxidants kind of retard the adaptation of your muscles to the workout you did. So it's kind of complex. So I'm trying to kind of give it the 10,000 foot level. But they do have their place, but it's more later in the workout after you've recovered, after your muscles have kind of absorbed what you've done to them. And then, especially like, after you do a full Ironman race, you're doing recovery days, like the day after. Now's the time to, strawberries, blueberries, your antioxidant, dietary supplements, vitamins, whatever you want to take. Now it's time to get that. So it keeps flushing the muscles out, keeps flushing all the trash out of the bloodstream. So your muscle can get proper recovery and all the nutrition and everything that they need. So this is where we dive into, not all workouts are the same. So especially my plans, if you're doing an off-season program by now, you've kind of dug in and found there's a veritable cornucopia. I always love using that term. It makes me feel just so up there. Anyway, so what I like to do is some weeks are going to be very laid back, call them transition weeks. It's just time to absorb what you did to it. And you got build weeks. But especially in the off-season program, I like to work the highs and I like to work the lows. And what I mean by that is high intensity, high spinning, high RPMs, get the muscles really moving, get them used to being fast and, fast run workouts and that type of thing. And then I like to back it down to, hill repeats or, riding your bike at 65 RPMs for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, in a really low gear to really work on that muscles and really kind of push the issue. So those type of workouts typically, especially in the off season, are going to be less than 60 minutes. So they may not require anything before. So that's kind of what I use for my morning workouts. Typically, as I mature, having more, it's not as comfortable to do running workouts, especially high intensity ones. So I've been kind of saving those for lunch workouts and trying to do, if it's too hot outside for doing high intensity workouts, I'll take it inside to a treadmill to a gym. Worst case, maybe I'll ride on my bike for about 10 minutes and then switch to a treadmill in the basement to do morning workouts. But typically in the morning, I get up and I'm rushed anyway. So, time crunched. It's not the time that I can get up, eat a meal, let it digest for a little bit, and then go work out. So basically, I get up and I put a little bit of UCAN in my water bottle, and I mix that up, and that's what I use in the morning. So that's pretty much it. So I just have sips on that, and I do my workout, and I'm good to go. But then I follow it up with a good breakfast and make sure that I'm getting proper nutrition afterwards. If you're doing anything for more than 60 minutes, if it's higher intensity, it may require 20, 30 grams easily digestible carbs, like a banana, regular toast, small meal, not a full meal. So, or maybe even your goo or something like that, if that's what works for you. So something greater than 60 minutes. So if you're going out for a 9-mile run, you might take a little bit of something, just so you have it. Because once you get past that 60-minute window, you're starting to get into your glycogen stores and using those things that you may need to dig into. And if you have anything in your stomach, it may make that workout a little bit more excruciating later on down the road. And especially these workouts, you've got your race pace stuff, you got tempo stuff. So once you're getting into that tempo stuff, and it's more than an hour, those are more broaching into your race effort workouts. And that's the best time to get your nutrition and to figure out if it works, if you can digest it. So if you're out for a 2-hour, or if it's a hour and a half bike ride with high intensity sets or with race effort sets, every 5 sets of 7 minutes each. So in those 7 minutes, you need to be, in the recovery sets, working on that nutrition, just trying a little bit about a Clif Bar or whatever. So later on, you can see towards the end, is it giving you stomach problems? Is it giving you gas? Is it causing problems? If it is, then you need to switch it up, because if you got gas problems and you're in a 90-minute workout, just think how it's going to last if you're doing a half Ironman or a full Ironman. So you're going to be out there and on race day, and you're going to have lots of energy, be really excited, lots of adrenaline pumping through the body, and you're going to end up probably starting off higher than race effort and then getting the race effort. And then by the end, you're kind of below race effort as you're trying to get to the finish. So that's the point at which you need to figure out what's going to work for you. Because if you're towards the end, you're trying to get it to the, T2 or something like that in the bike, or you're trying to get to the finish line of the run, that's not the point. You want to be dealing with gas, stomach cramps, bloating, anything like that. So that's the time to figure out what nutrition works for you when you're doing your race effort workouts. A lot of people negate this, and a lot of coaches, and maybe I'm guilty of this. I put my workouts in there, but I don't really say, I try to put some notes in there. It's like, hey, make sure you work on nutrition. Make sure you're weighing yourself before and after for sweat loss and stuff like that. Just a little nuances that you don't want to be like, oh crud, 2 weeks before race day, and it's like, it's going to be hot. I don't know what to do for hydration. I don't know how much I need. These are the little things to be working on now in the off season during your workouts, nutrition, just the little nuts and bolts of it. So when you start getting into the race specific plan that I'm going to launch in January, you kind of know what the expectations are as far as food. You're like, I've got it nailed. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Gatorade endurance because that's on the course. I got base bars and I'm good with that. Biking and running, and that's my plan. And then, special needs, maybe I have a Snickers bar or something like that. So test those out in race conditions and race effort workouts. Your long, easy workouts may not require as many calories. Carbs and easy digestible options keep opportunities to train the body to burn fat more efficiently. So those longer workouts, those zone 2 things, you're not going to burn energy as fast, but that's also an opportunity for your body. That's why you do the zone 2 stuff, is to work on your aerobic capacity, but also to work your metabolism, to work on burning fat, because burning fat is hard for your body to do, especially when you're doing higher efforts. So that's some of the goals of those long, easy zone 2 workouts, rides, runs, whatever, 3-hour ride, 4-hour ride. That's a time that your body needs to figure out how to convert fat for energy, because fat has a lot more energy, I think about 4 times more than carbs. So carbs are floating around your body, and easily, your especially your glycogen stores, your body can convert it pretty efficiently. But once you get over 6-7 hours, however long it takes you to do the Ironman distance, 112 miles biking, or 56, even for a half Ironman, you're going to start getting past that glycogen stores, and you're going to want to introduce fat in there too, because you want the fat to help out at some point. You don't want to be burning all carbs for a race, because that's going to be a recipe for disaster. So those long, easy workouts, don't go overboard with how much you're eating. Don't race effort. I'm gonna do my. Maybe you pick a 100-mile bike ride, and that's where you work on your nutrition. But the other ones, you just kind of back it off a little bit. It's like, well, I have a base bar every hour. Well, I'm going to have half a base bar every hour. Just to get a little bit behind, to let your body work on converting that fat and become more efficient at converting fat for energy. So those long, easy workouts, maybe have a little something before, but not too much. Bring your hydration, but maybe kind of water it down just a little bit. because now's not the time to go out there and race effort and not to pound it and not to hammer fest with the group rides or anything like that. That's the time to take it, dial it back, do your ride, 65% max effort, what you would consider for, your high end, like if you're doing it by power FTP, 65% of FTP, and you go out there and you do your long workouts. So have a little bit of nutrition because you want to be able to have a little bit of energy at the end, but you also want to train your body to burn fat. And that's what those workouts help do, aside from also building muscular endurance for long-term periods of time with aerobic fitness. So that's really the time to get into it. So basically, and we got one more race day information. So races are a little bit different because you're amped up, you're excited, your adrenaline's pumping, and just the natural human inclination is to be competitive. So when you're out there running around, you're gonna expend a little bit more energy, a little bit more effort than you typically would. So race day is a little different. So due to effort jitters, race day absorption may be 10 to 20% less than training. So maybe race morning, your stomach's a little upset, you're a little bloated, and maybe not feeling great. So you eat your breakfast, but it may not absorb and be digested as quickly. I like to time out my breakfast about 2.5 hours before the race starts to give it enough time to digest, but then I bring a little snack right before the race to make sure that I'm ready to go. Have a little something, especially for an Ironman swim. If you go an hour 15, hour 30, hour 45, and you're swimming in the water with nothing to eat, you're going to come out of that swim and you're going to be already to the point where you're probably going to need a refill on fuel. So just be mindful that whatever you stuff in your body on race day, you're probably going to absorb as much as you would on a training day. So I'm not saying eat less per se, but I'm just saying be prepared that it may not go through as fast. So when you get to the end of the bike ride, maybe kind of back it off a little bit sooner to let give your body more time to digest, especially when you hit the run, because whatever you stuff in there, like I said, and especially if it's hot and you're really pushing it, your heart rate goes up, or the effort goes up, or the demands on your body go up with heat or anything else, your stomach is going to be kind of behind a curve and being able to keep up and digest calories trying to take it in. So I always tell people to kind of train with the goal on the high side, especially in your tempo and your race effort workouts. So 200, 300 calories per hour is what most people can digest when they're working out. Again, training and doing those workouts, especially off season, that's the time to play with it. Well, let's see if I can do 400 calories an hour. And if at the end of the workout, you're like, oh, that was way too much, then but expect 20% less on race day. So once, train a little bit high, but on race day, you're going to go a little bit low. So if you're training at 300, 200, 250 is probably your goal. If you're going to train 400 or 500 an hour, then maybe you're able to stuff in 300 an hour. So this is your time also to play and expand that window. So if you can expand how many calories that you can process in that time period, then hey, great. On race day, you're going to back it off a little bit, but you've got plenty of room to replace. You're not going to replace 100% of the calories that you burn during your racing effort, but instead of being this much behind, you're going to be maybe this much behind, and maybe the fat stores can come up a little bit. So you're only going a little bit throughout the day. So that gap is getting not at the end of the race, you're not like this and totally depleted and have to hit the medical cart at mile 13. Maybe you're right here and you got enough energy. It's like you can rally a little bit and do some walking and recover and then be able to jog and kind of keep that window a little bit closer at the end, the line between, I'm depleted versus where I can get it to. So race with what you train unless avoidable on race day. So that's what I've kind of been hammering about here before. Train with what you're going to race with. So if you plan to race what's on the course right now, Ironman switched over to base bars for nutrition and for, I believe they have GU on the course. Kind of also depends on your event and location. So make sure you read athlete guide, check, buzz the Facebook groups and just like, hey, is everybody aware of what they're using? Some people, Gatorade Endurance is a drink, used to be Power Bar drink. So just make sure you're aware because not all drinks are made the same. Gatorade Endurance is a little bit different than Gatorade, period, because Gatorade Endurance has a lot more sodium stuffed in it. So if you take a swig of that on the race course, like Ironman Chattanooga, excuse me, be prepared because it's going to taste a little different. It's going to be a little more salty, a little bit more of a punch to it. So, which is good, especially for Chattanooga where it's 95 degrees and you're going to be sweating a lot and lose a lot of sodium. So it's good replenishment. But if you're training with regular Gatorade and you get the race day and you're doing Gatorade endurance, it's going to be a change and your gut may not like it as much. So make sure if you're going to live off the course, you know what's on the course. And if you plan on going totally independent, make sure you plan enough ahead to start the race, special needs, transition, special needs. Make sure you have enough to get you through the race, because you don't want to be at a point where like, oh gosh, I ran out and I don't know what to do, and now I got to live off the course and I don't know if my stomach's gonna be able to take it, and you don't want that extra anxiety. So have a good game plan, test it out in the off season, especially while you're training. So then you can really dial it in when you're doing race specific training. So that's kind of what I recommend. So for the most part, that was kind of it, the topic for today. I didn't see any questions posted up. And like I said, I want to send out the replay. So if you got any questions, always reply to that email. I'm always monitoring my email, and especially you guys, in my groups, you guys hit the top of the inbox. So I make sure to get back to you guys with any kind of questions. If you got different topics, the next one, we're still talking about nutrition a little bit. We'll be talking about kind of a little bit more of the targets for, how much carbs you're burning, how much fat you're burning, kind of sweet spot where you're going for, and why you're doing your daily nutrition one way and why you're doing your training and racing nutrition one way. It's all to build and get you ready for race day. So yeah, you're doing all your workouts, but you need to be doing on the backside nutrition stuff to make yourself successful on race day. So that's it for today. Like I said, if you got any questions, reply back to the emails and back to the replay email. And other than that, we will see you next week. Keep your your eyes peeled in your email inbox for the next time we're going to set up. We'll talk to you guys later.